see the live meeting. You'll see the presentation up on your screen. But if you're not logged in, I'm going to cover everything on the phone as well, so you'll get all the same information. And I just first want to start off by thanking you for joining today's call and today's online meeting, and really just for your interest in the Train to End Stroke program. And hopefully I answer a lot of your questions as we kind of go through the presentation here. And I first want to start off by giving you a little bit of background about the American Stroke Association. We're a division of the American Heart Association, and we were created in 1998 for more of a focus and emphasis on stroke. And just to let you know, back when the American Heart Association was created, the Heart Association's mission is to fight heart disease, cardiovascular diseases, which kind of encompasses both heart disease and stroke. And so both of those two were kind of lumped together as one under the American Heart Association umbrella. And where stroke was the #3 killer of all Americans, they really decided it needed its own organization. It needed to stand on its own and make, have people more aware of it. So they did that in 1998 and created the American Stroke Association. Annually, the AHA-ASA spends about $132 million on stroke-related research and programs, and the American Heart Association has spent about $3.2 billion in research since 1949. And Train to End Stroke is one of the Stroke Association's primary fundraising events. So we have a lot of other fundraising events like heart walks and luncheons and black tie events, but Train to End Stroke is one of the only fundraising events that focuses on the American Stroke Association. So while our other fundraising events are under the American Heart Association, which, as I mentioned, is both heart disease and stroke, Train to End Stroke is primarily for fundraising for stroke. A couple of stroke statistics and why it's so important to raise funds for stroke. Every 40 seconds, someone in America has a stroke. Every 3.1 minutes, someone will die from a stroke. And the slide I actually have up on the presentation is actually incorrect. It says that stroke is the third largest cause of death in America, but which was true up until recently, but just within this past year, it actually has moved from the third to the fourth largest cause of death. But it is still one of the leading causes of long-term disability. And while we have gone down as far as, causes of death, which is a great thing, there's still a lot of work to be done. The statistics are that nowadays there's even more stroke survivors that are living after having suffered a stroke. And so they're still happening. So we're kind of doing something right, but we still need to help fund that research, raise the funds, raise the awareness to help prevent it from happening in general. So we are making great strides, but there's always, always more that we can do to help in the fight against stroke. And so I know a number of you probably have questions as far as what is this program about, how does it work? And so typically what we see is people usually have the same questions, which are our frequently asked questions. How much money do I have to raise? How am I going to raise the money? And when is the money due? So I'm going to answer all these questions for you and go through it, and hopefully we'll give you a much clearer idea about what the program is and, kind of what it all entails, and, answer a lot of those questions for you. First, how much money do I have to raise? Just as background information, as a nonprofit organization, we have to ensure that of the donations that we receive, for every dollar we get, at least 70% of that money has to go back towards the cause, funding stroke research, stroke education, and stroke advocacy. And so our expenses have to be at a 30% mark or below that, ideally below. And so with that being said, what we do when we figure out what our fundraising minimums are and what we're asking our participants to raise is we have to figure out what our expenses are for that particular event and work backwards from there so that we can ensure our donors that they're not just funding a vacation, that they are, in fact, making a difference, making a donation to a cause, and their donations are, funding that research and that education and helping in the fight against stroke. So with that being said, the event that we're offering this season is the Kona Half Marathon, and it takes place in Kona, Kona, Hawaii on Sunday, June 24th. There's a 4.5-hour time limit, so it's both runner and walker friendly, and really anybody can participate in this event. When I get to the training portion of the program, I'll kind of elaborate a little bit more, but we have runners, we have walkers, we have beginners, we have people that have completed marathons before and people that have not. And so this program really, as I talk about the training a little later, you'll understand that it really is geared towards anybody. And like I mentioned, I'll talk about that in a little bit. And the fundraising minimum for this event is a $4,900 fundraising minimum. Now, I'm sure most people, when they hear $4,900, they think, that's great, but I have never done fundraising before in my life. That's a lot of money to have to fundraise, or, I've done some fundraising, never to that extent, and we understand that and know that. And so because of that, what my role in this program is that I'm a fundraising coach, and I help coach our participants to give them the tips and tools and techniques and everything that they need to reach their fundraising goals. And how I start the season off is that we'll sit down and try to come up with a fundraising plan of how we're going to get you individually to your fundraising minimum. And the first way we'll do that is by having a one-on-one meeting, and this can be done over the phone. And it's really just to sit down and talk about how we're going to get you personally to your fundraising goals. There is a great overview of fundraising that we can provide with you, but just taking the time to sit down and figure out, your different contacts and your networks and how we can raise that money. How, do you feel that your friends and family would respond well to doing a fundraising event? Would they help you with your fundraising? And just kind of working through that whole fundraising plan, creating that plan at the very beginning of the season, and then checking in periodically, throughout the season to make sure you're on track to meet that goal. And I'm available, whenever you have a question or a concern, or, as you go along with the fundraising and things maybe aren't going as well as you'd hope, we can, kind of regroup and figure out a way how we're going to get you to your goal, figuring another way, and kind of brainstorm more ideas. And I have 3 fundraising ideas that I have people focus on at first, at the very beginning of the season, because it really does bring in the most amount of their fundraising dollars, if not all, really with the least amount of effort that they have to put into it. And the first is simply personal asks, which is reaching out to your personal network, your friends, your family, your coworkers, but thinking kind of beyond that as far as, anybody that really recognizes your name, your doctors, your dentists, your, not leaving anybody out of that personal ask. Anybody that you have an address for, anybody that you have an email address for, Facebook, Twitter, putting it all out there. And the best way to make personal asks is if you have a connection to stroke, sharing that story as to why you're participating in this event. And that really can make all the difference, having that personal connection. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, stroke is the 4th largest cause of death and one of the leading causes of long-term disability. It's very prevalent, and more often than not, as you go through this process and talk to your personal connections, you'll find out that a lot of people have a connection to stroke. And, by asking them for their support and making them aware that you're doing something in honor or in memory of a loved one, that you are, making them aware that they can make a donation. A lot of times people want to do something more for an organization that they have a connection to, but might not necessarily know exactly how to make that donation or how to go about doing something. So, as I mentioned, just letting people know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how they can make that donation. And, giving them the opportunity to make a donation to a cause that they have a connection to, that they feel passionate about, and that they believe in, is just an opportunity for you to put that out there to them. So that's the first thing that you should focus on, is personal asks. And one great way that you can do personal asks is we have an online fundraising website that we create when you register for the program. So you have your own personal website that your friends and family and contacts can go to make online donations. So it's really easy and convenient. You letter, if you decide to send out letters. You can maybe even create business cards that you can print off yourself and hand out business cards to people so that they have that information there. And just really using that fundraising website to get people to make those donations and support you. And with this fundraising website, it's really great because it also has an email component built into the system. So you can upload an address book. There's email templates already created and loaded into the system, so you can simply select one of the templates, edit it a little bit, and send it off to friends and family, and it automatically includes a link to your website where they can click on that and make a donation. We also send you other sample fundraising letters, because I know how hard it is to create a fundraising letter from scratch. So we have a number of different resources available to you to creating those personal asks, those personal letters and emails. So all of that is available to all of you. And then employer matching gifts. It's just a great idea, and I always mention it at the very beginning of the season because it's a great resource to look into. And if you're not familiar with employer matching gifts, what it is there's many matching gift companies out there, and a matching gift company offers a matching gift program to their employees as a benefit of them working at the company. And what it is that if one of your friends or family or anybody that makes a donation to you happens to work at a matching gift company, they simply have to fill out a form, submit it to their company, and their company will then match their donation. So, for example, if they make a $100 donation to you in your fundraising effort, and they work at a matching gift company, they simply complete the form. Usually it's online now, and once they submit that form, the company will then send another $100 to us, to be credited to your fundraising account. So it can double donations and really can cut your fundraising down significantly. So it really is a great thing to look into, maybe having it as a PS to the bottom of your email or your letter, and just, asking people to, see if you work in a matching gift company. We also have a great website that when you register, I give to all of our participants, where you can look up matching gift companies. So if you happen to know all of your family where they work, you can actually look up, using the company name, if that company is in fact a matching gift company. Sometimes it even has a link to the online application form that they have to fill out. So you could be a little proactive in that, looking up the companies, and if you find some that your family members work at, sending it along to them. Hey, I noticed you work at a matching gift company. Would you mind, completing this form? It could double your donation and really help me out with my fundraising effort. So matching gifts are a great thing to look into. And then the number one fundraising tip that I cannot stress enough is to start early. The sooner you start with your fundraising, the sooner you're done with it and not have to worry about it, because I know that is most people's hesitation is the fundraising. And so starting as soon as you sign up, getting it done, sprinting to that fundraising finish line is just going to feel so much more of an accomplishment. Once you cross that fundraising threshold and meet that minimum, you can focus up 100% on your training and not have to worry about that fundraising minimum kind of lingering over your head there. So when is the money due? The money is due 2 weeks before the marathon event. So for this event, it's June 11th is when the fundraising deadline is. However, we know that sometimes things can come up, some stuff can happen, or, people that are never have fundraised before, you just really don't know how the fundraising is going to come along. And so we have created something in the program called Recommitment, which allows participants to sign up for the program and start training and fundraising and really just see how the program goes. And like I said, we really just want everybody to give it a try, because even though you've never done the fundraising before, you just never know how it will go unless you give it a try. And so this recommitment process allows the participants to sign on with no financial commitment. So up until recommitment time, which happens halfway through the season, so for this season it's mid-April, it allows the participants to test out the fundraising. Come recommitment time, we'll kind of, touch base and just ask you, how is everything going? And we do touch base, several times before recommitment, leading up to recommitment. But come recommitment time, we really try to assess your situation and see, you know, how do you feel with the fundraising? How do you feel that with the training? You know, do you feel that you can reach those, you know, those goals? And if for whatever reason you're not able to continue on with the program, you can back out as long as it's before that recommitment deadline with no financial obligation. So whatever you raised so far up until recommitment, 100% will go towards the Stroke Association. If at recommitment time you decide that, you know, fundraising is going great, training is going great, you really want to participate in this, you want to go to Kona, you want to cross that finish line, you know, that's great. That's exactly what we want you to do, and we want to get you to that point where you feel comfortable to make that commitment. And so if you decide at recommitment that you want to continue on, we have you complete a recommitment agreement form along with your travel forms. And by filling all of those out and signing the recommitment agreement form, you are now committing to the full fundraising minimum of $4,900, which is due 2 weeks before the marathon event. So up until the recommitment time, you do have that trial period to really get a feel for the program and see how things go. And at come recommitment, if you decide to continue on, you can do so at that time. And if you decide not to, you can back out with no financial obligation. And now, kind of the benefits of the Train to End Stroke program and what all of our participants receive when they recommit to the program and reach their fundraising minimum. The Stroke Association provides each participant with their round-trip airfare to and from Kona. We provide each participant with 4 nights hotel accommodations based on double occupancy. So we pay for 1/2 of a hotel room for each marathon participant. Ground transportation to and from the airport on the group dates, as well as your race entry fees. And then the Stroke Association puts on our own pasta dinner the night before the marathon event and a victory party the night of the marathon event. So all of that is included in the fundraising minimum. And just a couple of things I want to mention about the travel. A lot of people ask, well, what are the travel dates? If you pay for 4 nights, what days? Since the marathon is on a Sunday, the travel dates, the group travel dates the Stroke Association pays for is Thursday, June 21st until Monday, June 25th. So if you were going to travel just on those travel dates, on the group dates, those would be your travel dates, Thursday to Monday. Now, many people like to extend their stay. You can absolutely do that. We receive group discount rates at the hotel, which are good for up to 3 days before and up to 3 days after the group dates that we get. So a lot of times people want to, you know, go a little earlier, stay a little later, do a combination of the two, and you can certainly do that. You would just simply pay for any additional nights that you stayed at the hotel. And your flight would still be covered. The only difference would be is that if by extending your stay, if now your flight is slightly more expensive, you would have to pay the difference in the cost of the airfare, which 9 times out of 10 is nothing if not very, very minimal cost. And then a lot of times people also ask me, you know, can I bring a guest along? Absolutely. If you are, you know, if you want to bring a guest, they would simply just have to pay for their, you know, flight and their portion of the hotel room. And you can work with our travel agent in booking all of that come the recommitment time. And so now I just want to talk about the training portion of the program. And unfortunately, our coach wasn't able to join the call today. But our coach, his name is John Fury. And for those of you that have the presentation up in front of you, I actually have his email address up on the screen there. So if you have any training-related questions, please feel free to reach out to him. You know, he's been with the program since the very beginning. So since 2001, he's been our coach. And so I've worked with him for about 10 years now. And believe me when I tell you, he's one of the greatest coaches, one of the greatest people, and he will get you across that finish line. And so if you have any questions or concerns about the training and want to talk to him one-on-one about, you know, kind of your own situation, please feel free to send him an email. Just let him know that you're interested in participating, and he will get back to you, you know, with whatever questions that you might have. But just to kind of touch upon an overview of the training portion of the training program of the program is. This program is geared towards beginners. Most of our participants have never completed a half marathon before. And so it is geared towards the beginner. But what the great thing about the training part of it is that it can be tailored, custom made to fit your lifestyle, to fit your ability level, to fit your goals. So while we create kind of a template schedule, John will work individually with each participant on a one-on-one basis to create a program that, based on what you're currently doing, what your goals are, what do you want to accomplish? Maybe you're a walker and want to add some running into this and do a little bit of running during the half marathon. Or maybe you have a time goal, or whatever the case may be, John is willing to work and customize a program that best fits your needs and your abilities. And so, to give you an idea of what a training program looks like, I have up on the screen a sample program. So there's two components to marathon and half marathon training. The first is what you do during the week, and then the other is what we call a weekend long walk or a long run. And so first I'm going to touch upon the week training. And ideally you would like to have somewhere between 3 or 4 days of 40 to 60 minutes of some type of cardio. And really that's to maintain your fitness level, to keep that fitness level up. And again, John can work with you on customizing it, but he also, talks about if you're currently doing, you can kind of add a cross-training day in there. So if you're doing, yoga or Pilates, you can add those cross-training days into the week training session. And so, by looking at that, 3 or 4 days of 40 to 60 minutes, it's not much more than if you decided one day that you wanted to start going to the gym and you wanted to, start getting in shape and start, working out and getting fit. It's not too much more of a commitment than that, 3 or 4 days of 40 to 60 minutes. Now, kind of the key component to the marathon and half marathon training programs is what we call these weekend long walks and long runs. And these are where you start to build in your stamina and your endurance. And they start off very slow and modest and gradually increase each week by a mile each week or a mile every other week. They are very slow and modest. And I actually have, I'm going to switch my screen real quick. I have a file of what our training program looks like. And as you can see, this weekend, ideally we would like our participants to complete 4 miles. And if you're looking at that and thinking, I can't do 4 miles right now, that's okay. That's something that you can work with John with to get you to the point where you can catch up to this schedule. So if you're not there yet, we'll get you there. And so as you can see by the schedule, it's 4 miles. Next week is also 4 miles. And it increases to one more mile to 5 miles, and 5 miles, and 5 miles again. So as you can see by the schedule, it is a very slow, modest build, and gradually adding the mileage in as your body gets accustomed to the long miles and gets stronger and gets faster. And so as you get further and closer to the half marathon event, you'll see eventually you will get up to those 9, 10 miles, 10, 11, 12 miles. It might be something right now that you're thinking, I can't do 12 miles right now. And, that's not what we expect. But if you can do, 2 or 3 or 4 miles now, we will get you there. John will get you there. He will get you across that finish line, just by following his program. And then he also recommends, adding stretching, strength training, proper nutrition. And what's great about John working with this program is that he can talk to you about those different things. He can show you the stretches that you should be, performing, doing those strength trainings and cross-training days, talking about proper nutrition. What should I eat before I go for a walk or a run? What should I eat afterwards? And, John has been in the fitness industry for many, many years, and so he knows a lot of this information, and if he doesn't know an answer to your questions, he will contact Bill now, getting you the answers that you need. And so, it really is a great program, and it's something, and one other thing I forgot to mention is that John also puts together a training manual, a great training manual that has all the information that you need, information on stretching. He has diagrams in there on how to stretch, strength training. All of this information is in his training manual. But again, just reaching out to John and, you know, if you have those questions or need to have a program tailor-fitted, you know, working with John in doing that and just checking in with him on a regular basis. And for those people, I don't know if anybody on the phone are in the area of the Boston area, but for those people that do live in the Boston area, we do offer a group long walk or long run about every other weekend. And so what we try to do is get together as a group to complete those miles for that particular weekend. We may meet, our trainer is a trainer at FitCorp, and so we meet at FitCorp at 1 Beacon Street in Boston, usually on Saturday mornings at 8:30 in the morning, and complete those recommended miles for that particular day. And you know, it's a great opportunity to meet other people on the team, and we also provide water and support along the course. But for those of you that don't live in the area, it's still something that you can participate in the program. You know, the training would be done on your own at your own convenience, and you know, but still having John there to check in, you know, via phone or email with any questions that you might have or concerns, or you know, just having him check in on a regular basis. We have a number of what we call virtual participants who participate in this program that don't live in the Boston area. And to be honest, a lot of our Boston-based participants aren't able to make some of the long walks and runs, and just because of scheduling conflicts and things like that. So, you know, don't feel that because you're not based here and you can't attend these training sessions that you can't participate. It's that's not true. You can absolutely participate and still get the most out of the program. And so we would love for everybody to join the team today. Normally there's a registration fee for the program, but for taking the time today to join the team and join the presentation, I'm actually going to offer a discounted registration fee. I'm going to waive the registration fee. So if you are interested in joining the team, I'll send a follow-up email to those of you that were able to log on to the system here. I can capture your email addresses. But if you are interested in joining the team, you can register online, and there is a box on the registration form called discount code. And if you just enter the TTEF Kona discount code, you will bypass the payment section, so you won't have to pay a registration fee. So as I mentioned, we just really want everybody to just try the program out. And with no registration fee, with no commitment until that recommitment date, we really just hope that everybody decides to just give it a try and see how things go. And you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish and how well the fundraising will go for you, and you know how well and how easy the training can be. So does anybody on the call have any questions?
I don't.
And as I mentioned, I'm going to reach out to you after once we're done here. So I will send a follow-up email. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know. You know, if you have those questions and want to ask one-on-one, that is perfectly fine. So I hope all of you decide to participate. I want to thank you again for joining the call today. And as I mentioned, I hope you all decide to participate. And I will follow up, and please feel free to let me know if you have any other questions. So thank you again, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.